Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am going to start off my first video by saying this is Melody, and I am going to be using this video series to teach everybody about organs and how much fun they are and the different kind of musics you can play on them. Yes, I said musics. So let's get started by this first video is kind of an introduction. All we're going to do really is just go through the different parts of the organ. I might play a tune and just a little bit to show you what the organ does, each of its functions, and how all of it actually plays together. So, an organ like this, let me see if I can get to where I can show everybody. This organ, this particular one, is a Rogers 795. It has, you can see the speakers. The pipes are actually fake. They are not real. There is actually a speaker inside of the pipes, inside of the box below the pipes, which actually controls different tonal functions when the speakers are hooked up. So that's something we can go over at a later time. But for right now, the basic is this is what the organ looks like. And the organ is split up into multiple what we call divisions. You have different divisions, like in this organ there's only 3 divisions. Because it's a smaller organ, you have a pedal division, which is all of these stops or draw knobs here, and they are played from the feet, obviously, the pedals. Okay, and then you have a swell division, which is this here, and all of its stops and draw knobs are here. So there's not too many, but you have a little bit. And that keyboard is here. Keyboards are also called manuals in the organ world. So this is a 2-manual organ because there's only 2 of them. Okay, and then you have the grate division, which is here. And all of its stops and draw knobs are here. And it is played from the bottom keyboard. Okay, so that is the basic gist of the keyboards and the pedals and where everything is located. On top, you have what we call couplers. So on this particular organ, we have to turn the ancillary on, or anything that was originally driven by pipes won't play. So you have what we call couplers. You can actually take the grate keyboard, which was the bottom keyboard, and you can actually couple it to the pedal. So whatever you're playing on the grate now will be played on the pedal as well. And the same thing, there's a swell to pedal, there is a swell to grate. So you can actually take whatever is on the swell, which is the top keyboard, and you can move it down to the grate. So, and then you have a swell unison off, which is another function we'll go through later on, and I'll show you the interestingness of what all that can do and helps with using MIDI sounds, which stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. And but I'll show you all that here in just a minute. The next button is a pipes off. So this organ was originally connected to 7 ranks or sets of pipes, and so this would actually turn all of the pipes off. This is the ancillary on, which means in order for anything that was originally pipes to play, this has to be on, because this will turn on the digital, all digital portion of the organ. I don't obviously have any real pipes in my house because they won't fit. So anyway, then you have a main off, which actually turns everything off. So you can play what you want and you're not going to hear anything at all. The antiphonal on, in a specific organ, you can have speakers on the back wall or pipes on the back wall, which would be an antiphonal or an echo division. This organ doesn't really have that, but you can use antiphonal speakers. And then you can actually, what you hear out of the 2 main front speakers can actually be also put against a back wall if you wanted to, wherein in this case, they are on the top side of each of the main speakers. And I just have small main speakers. And then over here on the floor is the sub, which produces all the really low tones and sounds like that. So underneath each keyboard, you've probably noticed there's a whole bunch of buttons. They all have cool little functions, and they all do cool little things. So we'll start with the top row. Well, we'll start with the bottom row first. On this side, you have a set button. So you have, these are actually called pistons, combination action, or presets. One of the three all talks about the same thing. They all do the same thing. So you have a set button, so you can actually set what you want on button number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have, so each of these button locations corresponds to a specific keyboard or division. So if you'll notice, you have 1 through 5 down here, and then 6 through 10 up here underneath this keyboard. Those are what we call generals. Those affect every aspect of the organ when you press one. So right now, as you can see, there's nothing on. But if you press number 1, things light up. And that affects every aspect of the organ. Doesn't matter the division. And then you can go through 1 through 10, and different things change as you go. And it just depends on how you want to build it or set it up. So, and then each button lights up so you know exactly what is on. Each, you know which general you're on. Now, the neat thing about this organ is that your general pistons are also copied with what we call toe studs. So what you have 1 through 10 down below, and so you can press 1, you can press the toe stud, and it will change things. A lot of times this is more handier if your hands are tied up playing a piece of music and you want to change one of the general pistons. You can just push 1 with your foot and it will change things. Okay, moving on from there, we have the MIDI pistons. So this will turn a MIDI device on. This one will too, and this affects the great keyboard, which is here. Okay, and then you have swell MIDI pistons, which will affect this keyboard only up here, the top. Okay, and then moving on, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. Okay, this particular set controls everything on the swell division. So like if we press number 3, then things lit up on just only the swell. Okay, and likewise if we do the same on the great. So we can press 1 and things light up on the great. So those only affect this keyboard. The 1 through 5 up here only affect this keyboard. Okay, and then you have the pedal combination action. So you have 2 settings for MIDI, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which affect everything on the pedal. 3, 2, 1, and that affects things only on the pedal division. Okay, and then moving on, you have different functions that I will talk about later, but I will just announce them now. The grate and the pedal would be unenclosed, and don't worry about terminology. We'll discuss the terminology later on in further videos so you understand. This is a crescendo button, which means you're going to take volume softer and make it louder. And then this is a general cancel button, button number 0. So if you have something on, so say like you have 5 and you have a lot of stuff on, and then you push general cancel, bye-bye. It all goes off. Okay? So on the top row, you have a flute tremolo, okay, which we'll talk about later on when we start talking about more of the intricate parts of the organ. You have a bass coupler and a melody coupler, and you have 4 sets of individual memories. So if you press number 1, you have 10 different memory levels. If you have number 2, you have 10 different memory levels. So do the math. You've got 40 different combinations that you can set for things, and you can set anything you want based on the resources that you have. This button over here on the end is called a tutti button, and we'll go through its functionality and what it does later on in further videos. This up here is an indicator window. So if you hit the tutti button, you'll have lights, cool lights light up, and I will show you later on what each of those lights do. Over here underneath the grate, we have the display window, and we have, from this main screen, we have a transposer. So I can transpose it. I can go down 4 half steps, or I can go up 4 half steps. So I will explain that in a further video. But basically to say, if you're playing something in the key of C, and you only know it in the key of C, you can transpose it to whatever key that you need to. So say if you are accompanying a soloist in a church or whatever, and they only know it in one specific range, they only know the song in one specific range, then you can play it in the range that you know, that you've practiced, that you've memorized, and they can sing it in a key that's comfortable for them. So, and then you have tuning on this organ, which standard pitch is A440. That's the note A beating at 440 cycles per second, or 440 beats per second. And this one, the bottom little dial, will actually change that. And we can go pretty high on the tuning if we want, 452.8, or we could go really low on the tuning if we want. And it'll go all the way down to 427.5. And we'll go over those different functions at a later time, so you can kind of hear and see and learn what really makes the organ sound and what really makes the organ tick. 2 other devices that I didn't show you but are on this organ. You have a sequencer, which is on a pull-out tray, and you can pull it out. And this allows you to, back in the late 90s, they still used diskette drives. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, here's a flash from the past, if you ever did see one. So these diskettes actually have music saved on them, so all you have to do is just insert it in, and then it will load the songs in the screen. You pick what you want, and then you can play it. That allows you to also play a specific piece of music, and this will record it note for note, everything that you just played or did or changed or pushed on the organ. It will record it exactly as you did it. When you hit play, it's just like time repeated itself, and now you can hear exactly what you just did. It's great for practicing where you need to go over a piece of music, or it's great for, say, an organist can't be there on Sunday and you don't have a backup organist. You can record the hymns at an earlier time and then play them back using the sequencer. The box underneath is called an organ expansion module, and what it does is it takes extra sounds that are not a part of the original organ, and it will actually take those sounds and add to, which is where these MIDI buttons come in. And I will show you all this on a later video, but right now this is just kind of an introduction to kind of give you an idea of what everything does on the organ. There are 2 pedals I didn't tell you about. They are down here below. There is a grate pedal and there's a swell pedal. And what these do is they control volume. In a pipe organ, pipes will only speak at one volume. That volume never changes. So in order to create dramatic effect and to create different volume levels, you put pipes in a chamber. And then on the front side of the chamber, you have what we call swell shades that open and close. And so the further you press the pedals forward, the more volume you get. The further you bring the pedals back, the less volume you get. And you can control them individually. Or I tend to just control them together, which in this organ will control the entire volume of the organ. So you can create really dramatic effects with that. But this is just a basic tour of this organ, and please stay tuned for the next video. If you like the video, hit the like button, and if you want to see something explained in further detail, I will explain them in further detail in a further video, and I'll read the comments and see what all you guys think. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.